Welcome to another night in the NBA. This is your 10-minute recap of the last night of NBA hoops, and this is a pretty light night in terms of games, only 2 games on the schedule for the night, starting off with Pacers versus Bucks, and that leads us into the main topic of the night, which is the Indiana Pacers, as a team as a whole, and kind of more specifically Tyrese Haliburton, because the Pacers right now look phenomenal. They beat the Bucks 126-124 to move to 6-3 on the season. They've looked really solid. They had up to an 18-point lead, I think, early on in this game. The Bucks come all the way back, take the lead, and they were up by as much as 10 in the fourth quarter. But because of how good the Pacers' offense is, they storm back, take the lead, and then win this game. But I want to talk about how good this offense is. So last season, the Sacramento Kings had the greatest statistical offense in NBA history with an offensive rating of 119.4. But to start this season, the Indiana Pacers have an offensive rating of 121.5, which is kind of handily better than the Kings in terms of like history-wise. It's kind of blowing them out of the water with how good this Pacers offense has been, and that's because of how good Tyrese Haliburton is, who had 29 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds in this game, and now for the season is averaging 23 points, 12 assists, and shooting 49% from the field, as well as, what is he shooting from 3? He's shooting 37% from 3, 94% from the free throw line. He's been great. He's truly the engine of this offense. He's an offensive wizard. He's a maestro in terms of how he conducts this offense, because everything runs through him, and he is the kind of lead playmaker in the NBA today, number 1 in assists per game, and is kind of the new point guard. I think he's kind of taking the changing of the guard. It was Chris Paul forever, the best pure point guard, the best facilitator in the NBA. It's now Tyrese Haliburton. Hallie is the best passer in the entire league, and he changes this Pacers offense and kind of inspires everything else, because the ball movement with this team is phenomenal. They're flinging the passes around from one guy to the next, and I think the tone is really set by how Haliburton plays offense, and he was just so good in this game tonight. But he wasn't the only one, because Bennedict Mathurin looked back to what he was last season, which is a really good scorer. Has struggled to start the year, but was really good in this win over the Bucks. 26 points, 9 of 18 from the field, and 11 rebounds, plus 14 for the night. 4 out of the 5 starters for Indiana were plus 14 or better. Miles Turner also really good in this game with 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Relatively quiet game from Bruce Brown in terms of scoring, just 11 points on 3 of 9 shooting, but finishes with 9 rebounds and 7 assists, making a strong impact overall, and for the season so far has looked like a really good signing. He's been super impactful for them. Obi Toppin hasn't been a huge scorer, 7 points, no rebounds or assists, and plus 6, the worst of any starter. So they mixed some other guys in there. Nembhard played 20 minutes, Buddy Hield played 22 minutes. But this is a group effort for the Pacers, who right now have the best offense in NBA history, and I think it might hold. At least they'll be up there for the rest of the season. I truly believe that, because of how great of an initiator Haliburton is, because of how high level of a pace that they play at. This team gets out and runs, and they run all the time. Their defense isn't great. They're going to be probably a bottom 10 team defensively. I mean, they did give up 155 points to the Celtics earlier this year. They gave up 124 to the Bucks tonight, who get 54 points from Giannis Antetokounmpo on a super efficient 19 of 25 from the field and 16 of 18 from the free throw line. They couldn't contain Giannis at all, but with no Damian Lillard, it didn't really matter because no one else was going to beat them. I'd say this was the best game of Chris Middleton's season so far, with 19 points on 7 of 13 shooting, but Brook Lopez finishes with just 2 points. Miles Turner does a solid job on him, and the Pacers win this game to move to 6-3, past the Bucks in the Eastern Conference standings. I believe they're the 3 seed in the East right now, behind the Sixers and the Celtics. and then it is Indiana, and I think they're really good. I think this is a legitimate, solidified playoff team. They were like the 6 or 7 seed last year before Haliburton went down with injury, and they look even better last year. That loss against the Celtics was horrendous. It was so bad, but Haliburton didn't play in that game, so I'm just gonna push it aside, pretend like that didn't happen. Overall, the Pacers have been really good. Just blew out the Spurs by 40 plus a few days ago, and they look phenomenal, especially offensively. They shoot 42% from 3 in this game. It just feels like on any given night they can just get really hot and have a bunch of different guys hit threes. Haliburton, despite his funky release, is a great shooter. Basically hit the 3-point dagger in this game over Campaign, who just wasn't tall enough to even make an impact. Mathurin can hit threes. Turner can hit threes as a big man. Bruce Brown can space the floor. Then you get guys like Nesmith, Nembhard, and Buddy Hield off the bench who all shoot it really well. The Pacers are a great offensive team, led by Tyrese Haliburton, the new point guard, the best passer in the game today, and they look like a legitimate, like real playoff team in the Eastern Conference, and I think they're a lot better than a lot of people expected. But now let's shoot around the NBA. There's only one other game to cover, but let's talk about that game. We can get into it in a little bit more detail than usual. So, in other NBA action from the night, we only have one other game. It's Hawks versus Magic, a game that the Hawks win 120 to 119 thanks to a DeJounte Murray game winner. Trae Young drives, there's no shot, he kicks it to the corner basically, where DeJounte hits the 3 that gives the Hawks the lead that they wouldn't give up. Magic had a couple chances down the stretch to win this game, but they couldn't do it. Hawks fight all the way back and end up winning it behind 41 points from Trae Young, easily his best game of the season so far. 12 of 27 from the field, still isn't super efficient, but was still very, very difficult to stop offensively. They get 19 points and 9 rebounds from Jalen Johnson, who has continued a great breakout season for this Hawks team. I do think he is their 3rd best player, it seems like, through the season so far, behind Trae and DeJounte, but DeJounte's been great, but not quite as good in this game. 16 points. Solid. They get 12 from DeAndre Hunter, 6 from Clint Capella, and then 15 from Bogdan Bogdanovic off the bench. But the Hawks win this game to move to 5-3. I think this was a battle of 2 legitimate playoff teams in the Eastern Conference, and that's kind of been the theme of the video today, is young kind of teams that are just moving up the standings, kind of surprising people, being better than people thought. The Pacers, Hawks, and Magic, I think, are all legitimate, like really good playoff teams that could all end up with home court advantage with like a top 4 seed. All of them will be fighting for that area. I think they're that good. But then looking at it from the Magic side is a balanced affair. They have 7 guys with 12 or more points, led in scoring with 21 from Jalen Suggs, who had 7 steals tonight. Jalen Suggs to start this season has been phenomenal. Jalen Suggs is one of the most fun watches in the league right now because he's everywhere, doing everything. He looks improved offensively, and he just looks like an absolute stud defensively. Like, there's just nothing you can do with that. With how good he is on the defensive end, he is a big reason why the Magic's defense has been as good as it has been. 17 for Paolo. They get a big shot from Franz down the stretch, but overall not a great Franz Wagner game with just 12 points, and a -16 was the worst plus-minus of anyone on this Magic team. Was not great. Jonathan Isaac I thought was really solid down the stretch, especially defensively, but 12 points and 7 rebounds for the Minister of Defense. Mo Wagner, good minutes again with 13 points off the bench, and then somehow Joe Ingles in 18 minutes was a +27. No one else was higher than a +7 for the Magic, and they only had they only have 3 guys that are even positive. +27 from Joe Ingles, +7 from Goga Bitadze, and a +1 from Jalen Suggs, and every other player was a minus in terms of plus-minus. But the Joe Ingles impact is heavily felt in this game, which is crazy because watching Joe Ingles, he looks washed. He looks like he's way past his prime. Jingles does not look like the same guy as he was in Utah. And overall, if you were watching this game, I'd say it felt like Jingles had a negative negative impact, not an overwhelmingly positive one. So that's a weird thing from the box score. But the Hawks get a big win against a good team, a really good defensive team, and Trae Young has 41. But as I always want to do, let's get into the top 5 players of the night according to the Real Sports app. I want to showcase the best players on any given night, and let's start off with number 1 is Giannis Antetokounmpo with 54 points, 12 rebounds, and 76% from the field. At number 2, we have Trae Young with 41 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds. Tyrese Haliburton at 3 with 29 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds. At number 4, we have Bennedict Mathurin with 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists. And then rounding out the top 5, we have Jalen Suggs with 21 points and 7 steals. But that'll do it for this night in the NBA. Another night in the NBA. Thanks for watching. Think about subscribing. I'm on the road to 12,000 subscribers, but hopefully you enjoyed. Again, thanks for watching. That's it for me. Have a good one.